Today we continue with our class Halachos of Brochos. Today class number 40. And we start with Sefer Shmiras Haloshon. Okay, today's topic is within everyone's reach. Any Jew who reflects upon his ways regularly and resolves to scrupulously refrain from speaking the forbidden will surely succeed in attaining the quality of Shmiras Haloshon. As our sages teach, that one who seeks to purify himself is glad in heaven as citizens. It's from Shabbos 104a. So basically what it says, everyone who wants to attend to this mitzvah of watching over his or her mouth can do it, right? Why? What do we need? You need the result, right? You wanna do it, okay? And Hashem is going to help. They further as some people pray about Hashem helping them to reach teshuvah, but they do exactly zero to achieve it. You understand? So the first step should be from our side. From we say we make first step, and Hashem is going to assist as He promised. They further state that if person sincerely strives to be tzaddik, righteous individual, then Hashem will assign him an angel who will treat him as a tzaddik. Sorry, sure. One more time. They further state, if person sincerely strives to be a tzaddik, righteous individual, then Hashem will assign him angel who will treat him as a tzaddik. And if he will sincerely strive to be a chassid, exceedingly righteous individual, then Hashem will assign him an angel who will treat him as a chassid. Okay, so based on the way so we want to walk, Hashem is going to guide us. So as it says clear, He's going to send us an angel to help us, guide us. The Talmud qualifies the statement: everyone is guilty of speaking Lashon Hara. Baba Basra 165. By saying that this refers not to actual Lashon Hara, but to Avak Lashon Hara. So what is Avak? Avak Lashon Hara is dust of Lashon Hara. So it's like some implication, not the direct information, but implication. So everybody is guilty of on one level or another of Avak Lashon Hara. There is a statement which can lead to Lashon Hara, being spoken or from which negative information can be inferred. So we derive one thing from another. So that would be Avak Lashon Hara. Moreover, Macharsha comments that everyone refers only to a person who is not careful in the matter of speech and speak whatever comes to mind. Such a person will surely be guilty of speaking Avak Lashon Hara. Right? So the more we keep our mouth shut, the less possible that we're going to say something forbidden. Right? And our sages say so the best the best fast. So some people would like to accept the fast of themselves. The best fast is ta'anis dibur, meaning fast of not speaking, even for one day. The sages did not heaven forfeit, meant that it is impossible for anyone to be free of this sin, meaning everybody can do it. If Hashem said it is a mitzvah, so that means that everybody can do that. With the knowledge of the relevant laws, the proper zealousness, any Jew can acquire the golden quality of Shmiras Haloshon. Okay. So you just you learn the law, you strive to achieve it, and you're going to get it. Guaranteed. Okay. So we continue with Halachos of Brochos. And we start a new chapter today, number 19. It's very, very important chapters, as all of them. And it's one of the most asked questions, I would say. Foods covered by Bircas Hamozon. Introduction. Most people are familiar with a rule that the foods eaten during the course of a meal in which bread is eaten are covered by Bircas Hamozon. Bircas Hamozon is sometimes valid, b'diavad, for food not eaten in conjunction with bread. For example, one ate a bowl of spaghetti. His mind was occupied with other matters as he ate. Okay. After finishing the spaghetti, he mistakenly benched. In another bracha, is another bracha achrana required? This is discussed in section 8. So let's try to understand. I mean, here's just a summary of what we're going to say, but what we're going to discuss. But let's see the examples that this rabbi gives. Right. So he says that person ate spaghetti. Spaghetti we know is misoinus, right? And after he finished, maybe he was. I'm not sure what he was thinking about, but he said Bircas Hamozon. So after the fact, we say it's valid. After the fact, it's not proper the blessing, but after the fact. But we're going to see details in section B. Section B discusses the important halacha, which is unfamiliar to many people, namely that a bracha achrana, it's ending blessing, right? We have blessing before eating and blessing after it. Is required for most foods which are eaten before meal. That's what actually we discussed not this Monday, this Tuesday. This Tuesday we discussed in our Kiddush-Link class. Okay, before the meal. For example, one this Tuesday and last Tuesday. Okay, one grows hungry. As he waits for the dinner guest to arrive, he helps himself to some potato kugel, okay, which will shortly be served at the meal. He must make bracha achrana before washing for the meal. Okay, so it's not so simple as we said in the kitzur, but we're going to discuss and we're going to add whatever we said there also. So the situation, one more time, what is the situation? So everybody is ready for a meal. Let's say, I would not say that Shabbos is a good example, not a good example, because you must wait to make a Kiddush, right? Unless for example, people did Kiddush in a shul, right? And they come home and they going to make a second Kiddush and eat with the bread with the rest of the family. Okay, it's also possible. Okay, let's look at this scenario. Another person is hungry and he wants to eat something that is going to be served anyway. So, and he eats, right? So the question is that this food are connected to the bread meal or not? So that's a very interesting question. In some instances, food eaten before the meal is considered connected to the meal and is considered, it is covered by Bircas Hamozon. So in some cases. In such cases, the food eaten before the meal does not require bracha achrana. So meaning that this person eats something before the meal, before he washes for bread, and this food is going to be covered by Bircas Hamozon that is going to be said after the meal. Okay. For example, one makes boreh prichaetz on apple before the meal and has intention to exempt fruit which he wishes to eat during the meal. The apple covered by Bentching and does not require separate bracha achrana. This we will deal with section C. Okay, so that's the example. I would say maybe apple is too much. People don't usually eat so much before the meal, but let's say a few grapes. Maybe it's a better example. not few. Okay, more than 1 ounce of grapes. So let's put it this way. Okay. The section D, we apply these halachas to many common situations. For example, is one required to make bracha achrana for food eaten at the Shmiras board if he expects to wash for a meal shortly thereafter? Okay, so we're going to explain all of this in detail starting now. Okay, so section A, and the topic of food covered by Bircas Hamozon. Bread, foods eaten during the meal. Bircas Hamozon is bracha achrona for bread, and for all foods and beverages that are eaten in conjunction with the bread. Even foods such as snacks, the snack foods, and fruits which are not covered by hamotzi and require separate bracha, rishona, even when eaten in the middle of the meal, are nevertheless covered by Bircas Hamozon. Commentary: not every food which is eaten at the meal is covered by Bircas Hamozon. Make the bread. Okay, we're going to just explain now. For example, if one wishes to eat an apple during the course of the meal, he must make Borei Pricha Eitz. However, he does not have to make Borei Nefashos, as it is covered by Bircas Hamozon. Okay, so let's try to understand. So, person eats bread meal, right? So everything that is usually is eaten in the course of the meal, which is all the salads, all of the fish, salads, soups, all this meat, chicken, all of these beautiful things, all of the beverages, they covered by the blessing hamotzi, and blessing on the bread, and then covered by Bircas Hamozon. But there are some foods, as we said, all of the fruits, I would say most of the fruits are not included, right? So you need, if you eat fruits during the meal, you would need to make separate blessing, or even vegetables. Some vegetables not covered. If you want to eat strawberries, for example, raspberries, so of course they're not covered by Bircas Hamozon. You would need to make separate blessing before eating them. But after you add them, of course, they're covered by Bircas Hamozon. So that's the essence what we just said. Okay. So all of the snacks, right? So because person is eating not for satiation, but because he wants the sweet taste or whatever taste is it, right? So it's not part of the regular meal. Number 2, bread family products. For example, cake, crackers, etc. Bread family products such as cake and crackers are treated as a genuine bread when Shiur, set amount of food, is eaten. In such a cases, the required bracha achrona for cake, crackers, etc. is Bircas Hamozon. The rules for benching for bread family product are discussed in detail, chapter 27. 1 second, and we are in 19. Okay. So let's say what they try to mean here, and then we continue. So we have bread, which is, as everybody said, is a bread, which is regular bread, or white, dark bread, rye bread, all of the pita, so pizza is a bread. All of these things are bread. Matzah is a bread. Right, and we have a bread family. What is a bread family? Something that is like bread, but it's not. Right, so we said there are 3 categories. One is something like have packets, right? The best example would be like apple pie or cherry pie. So something like with fruits inside. That's first example. Second example is is a cake. Right, that is made with a lot of sugar, with honey, with all the spices, sweet things, right? So raisins. This is cakes, the second category. And third category is from a bread family. They're very flat, right? Dried and crumble, that they would crumble, right? Which is like dry pretzels, right? So like smaller pretzels. Crackers and etc. So if person, these 3 category are included in a bread family. So if person is going to eat set amount of this food, for example, we said that I think this ought to go by 3. What is it? 6 ounces, right? 6 ounces at 3 kibetza. Right, 3 eggs, and I don't remember, but we're trying to go by strict opinion and go by 4 for eggs, which is 8 ounces. So basically, if person is planning to eat cake for 8 ounces, that's all he has, or he have this appetite, or this or that, doesn't matter. So, and it's, as we discussed before, it's not so much, right? If you take for example, you have you take these muffins, like bigger muffins, and when they're fresh, I mean, you can eat 2 or 3 of them. So for sure, you would need to wash your hands, because in this case, it's your meal, right? And you say hamotzi, and after you eat them, you say Bircas Hamozon. And same with crackers. I'm not sure if person can. I mean, if you're very hungry and you're going to eat all of these crackers, you see on a packaging like that it's let's say it's 8 ounces. Okay, no problem. So you would need to say Bircas Hamozon. Okay, continue. But we're going to get in details in 27. But it is summary what we're going to say there. Beverages. Number 3, beverages. A valid for Mizones product, wine, and dates. What does it mean? I have learned now that if one incorrectly recited a bracha, and the statement was nevertheless true, for the food for which it was wrongly recited, it is valid beverages. Okay, so what does it mean? We learned, I don't know, maybe months ago, yeah, maybe. So the situation was that a person said the wrong blessing. For example, on apples, he said the fruit of the ground, right? Instead of Barepricha, he said Barepricha Dama. Or he said on apple, he said Shechako, by whose word everything came into existence, right? Which is not correct blessing, but at the end of the day, the statement is sure 100%, right? The apple is the fruit of the ground, because the tree grows from the ground. There is nothing wrong with that statement. I mean, but only after the fact, so the person would not need to repeat the blessing and can eat. Okay. So now we're going to go to all of the b'diavad cases. B'diavad means after the fact, is Bircas Hamozon. Therefore, since Bircas Hamozon is acknowledgement for the bread and the food for which satiate, it is valid b'diavad for the foods which Chazal consider to be particularly satiating. Okay, we're going to check a commentary. So it's B. The statement, if the statement contains the wrong bracha, there is recited. One second. If the statement contained in the wrong bracha that was recited is true, the bracha, the wrong bracha is valid, b'diavad. So after the fact. Therefore, since the statement contained in a Bircas Hamozon is true, when applied to the grain products, wine or dates, it is valid b'diavad. Okay. So let's give these examples, and we're going to explain. The following foods are considered to be particularly satiating: mizoines, cooked or baked grain products. Okay, and commentators say that does not include rice or rice products. Okay, we're going to explain. Wine, dates, all of the 3 things. For example, one ate kizayis of cake, cereal, spaghetti, or dates, or drank a revis of wine, or grape juice, and mistakenly benched. The benching is valid. For new bracha, achrana is not required. Okay, so let's try to understand. So if person say blessing and it is not true blessing, even b'diavad, so he must repeat the blessing. Not repeat, but to say the correct blessing. For example, if on a potatoes, person say the fruit of the tree, so it's not true, right? It's not true. So it even after the fact is not a valid blessing. But if whatever the person said after the fact, it is true, even though it is not correct blessing, before blessing or after blessing, doesn't matter, right? If it's not correct blessing, so after the fact is true, so we'll just leave it alone and do not repeat. So our Chazal say that the 3 types of food, they have a special special, I don't know, what is it, attribute, right, to satiate person, right? What is it? It's mizoinous, all of these grain products, and as they say, it could be baked, like I don't know, cookies. They bake cookies, or it could be cooked. You have spaghetti, you have I don't know, all of these cooked products, right? Or wine. So wine also satiates, and we spoke about it in our laws of Shabbos class, when if a person does not have bread and he wants to make a blessing, he wants to make Kiddush. So after the fact, if he does not have mizon, so he actually can drink a glass of wine, a revius of wine, and it's going to be considered as he ate in the place where he made Kiddush. So after the fact, because why? Because of this quality, he's right, where the quality of wine that is satiates. And also dates. So if you know the dates and figs, so if you read the Tanakh, so you see that all of these people, King David and others, so they would take dates with them, right? Dates, because first it's easy to preserve them, and they like have a lot of energy in them. So it's very satiating. So if person said Bircas Hamozon after bread, that's correct, but after mizon, after cookies, right, or after spaghetti, after all this pasta, no problem. After the fact, it is covered. After the wine, no problem, it is covered, and dates also. Of course, I'm just adding, it does not say it here, but no, I apologize. It says here, apologize. So the minimum, he must eat the minimum requirement, the minimum amount, right? So what is minimum amount? It's a kazayas, which is, as we said, 28 grams, or if he drank liquid wine, grape juice, so he must drink revius. What is revius? We said from 3.1 to 5.1, so different opinion. Let's say a minimum of 3.2. We can rely on that opinion in the case of the need. Okay. So if he ate that amount during the right time span, or drank during the right time span, so he can say Bircas Hamozon. Not valid for all the foods. Bircas Hamozon is not valid even b'diavad for all other foods. For example, if one ate meal consists of fish, French fried potatoes, salad, ice cream, and coffee, but no bread, and mistakenly benched, he must recite Birchas Nefashos at the benching, and the benching was not well. So he ate all of these beautiful things, fish and potatoes and salad, ice cream, and coffee, right? So, and somehow, he said Bircas Hamozon. I guess. I think good example would be, here's a good example. Everybody around the table ate bread, or almost everybody, right? And after they finished eating, so one person led the zimun, right? And then they say Bircas Hamozon. He said out loud, so, and everybody were listening, even though they were supposed to follow. But okay, whatever. After the fact, they fulfill the obligation, right? Because they listen every word, whatever that person said, and they add the correct amount of bread in the correct amount of time. But this person thought that he is also included, which is not. It's not true. He's not included. So he has to say Baren Nefashos after his meal, as for like after he would eat fish or salads. Okay. Any questions on what we said? Okay, no problem. Then we continue. Okay, section B. Section B. Eaten before the meal, not covered by benching. So before the meal, not covered by benching. This section deals with a bracha achrona, so after blessing, requirement for the foods which are eaten before meal. So let's see the commentary. Not according to many paskim, if the table is set and one is about to wash through bread, he has no reason to delay starting his meal. He should first make a Bircas Hamozon and then eat other foods. He should not eat other foods before eating the bread. Doing so is called Gorem Bracha Sheina Tzercha. So we will learn it. Causing a bracha to mate which could have been avoided. However, if he cannot start his meal immediately, he may eat other foods while waiting to start the meal. See chapter 14, section C2. Okay, let's try to understand. So our sages said, so don't put you, as we always say, don't put yourself in a questionable position. What is a questionable position? Like this questionable position that they're about to start the meal. So just wait a little longer, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Or so if family, if it is your family, so and you're head of the family or close to the head of the family, right? So make sure that you start on time. We said we start 11:30. So what is 11:30? 11:45 is not 11:30. 11:30 is 11:30. It's not 11:29, not 11:31. So 11:30 we start, no matter what. You come on time, no problem. You're late. Okay, you can make your own kiddush. There is no problem. No, we're not going to yell at you. We're not going to withhold bread for you or this for you, that for you. Okay, but start on time. So when people organize and they would start kiddush on time, right? So they will avoid the situation that, for example, kids are hungry or even adults are hungry, elderly people are hungry, right? So I mean, elderly people, let's say they eat less, right? They eat less, but they eat more often. So they cannot wait until everybody assembles. Right? So our obligation to start meal on time. And we start classes on time, by the way. Okay, okay. So, but if person so he could not wait, so he started eating some food, right? And because he could not wait, he put himself in this a situation when he had to say this extra blessing, right? Which could have been avoided. Okay. So that's the question: if this food is going to be connected to the rest of the meal. D. Number 1 requires bracha achrona. So bracha rishona, the first blessing for sure is required because it's before the meal. So our question, if this food, whatever he ate, required the end blessing, meaning end blessing before he start bread meal. That's the situation we're talking about. Bracha requires bracha achrona. Generally, Bircas Hamozon does not cover foods eaten before the meal. So that's a general rule, commentary. Regarding beverages which one drinks before the meal, see paragraph D3. Okay, we're going to get to it. So the most famous example, right, would be wine kiddush, right? A person drinks wine before washing for bread, but this wine is actually attached to the meal, 100%. That's why we said that we always say do not delay. You drink wine, you make a kiddush on Shabbos, on Yom Tov, you go quickly, wash your hands, and start eating bread. Start in your meal, and then you want to talk, you talk. You don't talk now, right? So in this case, this wine is going to be connected 100% to the meal. Because why? The simple answer: because you cannot start the meal without making kiddush. So that's a clear connection. But we're going to explain now it's not always the case. Okay, so let's see. Rather, the appropriate bracha, achrona, is required for that which was eaten before the meal. This is also applies to many types of mezonos products eaten before the meal. So let's see the commentary. Bracha achrona is not required for cake, crackers, and other bread family products eaten before the meal. See the section D below. Regarding the types of mezonos products eaten before the meal. Okay, so we're going to discuss it. For example, if one nashes potato chips, and macaroni salad before eating the meal, he may not rely on Bircas Hamozon to cover his before meal nash, but must make a bracha achrona before washing for the meal. Bare nefashos for potato chips and al mechia for macaroni. Okay. Even if the same type of food will subsequently be served at the meal, nevertheless, since the food was eaten before he started the meal, the bracha achrona is required. Just 1 second. Okay, so let's finish and I'm going to explain. To illustrate, one grows hungry and he waits for his dinner guest to arrive. He helps himself to some spaghetti and piece of potato kugel, which will shortly be served at the meal. The Bircas Hamozon after dinner will cover the spaghetti and kugel served during the meal, but will not cover the spaghetti and kugel eaten before the meal. Therefore, he must make ala mechia and bare nefashos before spaghetti before starting his meal. Okay, so let's understand. So the situation, they did not start on time, or they were supposed to start on time, but this person grew very hungry and he started eating before the meal. And the example they give, for example, he ate with the potato chips. Potato chips never covered because they're a snack, right? So it's like a dessert. Right? So you will even during the bread meal you would need to make special blessing, right? And plus he ate macaroni salad. Macaroni salad would be covered by the bread, but he ate it before the bread meal, right? So these things are not going to. There is no connection of eating this macaroni salad and these potato chips to the meal. Have zero connection, right? That's why the person must make appropriate blessing after blessing for potato chips. I mean, if he ate enough, which is bare nefashos and ala mechia for macaroni salad. Just 1 second. I see if. Just 1 second. I mean, the second example is like very similar. Okay. All right. So continue. Number 2. Forgot. Realize in the middle of the meal. If one forgot to make an appropriate bracha achrona and blessing before before starting the meal, he must do so in the middle of the meal. Regarding miscellaneous products, see footnote H. Okay, we're going to see the footnote. But before we go to footnote, so person ate this kugel, ate this potato chips, ate this macaroni salad, right? So, and he forgot or he did not know that he must make the blessing after he ate. So now he must stop, or whatever he is in the middle of the meal, bread meal, must stop, say the blessing for whatever he ate before the meal, and continue with the meal. Commentary. The rule, according to some poskim, does not apply to miscellaneous products which are eaten shortly before starting of meal. If one ate miscellaneous, washed and made hamotzi, and started his meal, and then realized that he had forgotten to recite ala mechia for miscellaneous he had eaten right before the meal, it is questionable whether or not he should make ala mechia in the middle of the meal. Okay. Regarding cake and cookie and crackers, etc., we're going to discuss in section B. Okay, we're going to get to. So what is the problem here? So the problem here. It's just 1 second. Miscellaneous product, but it's not all of the miscellaneous product. Looks like it's only bread-like miscellaneous product, right? Which is, as you said, were baked, right? So if person ate all of this, I don't want to say cookies. They say we're going to discuss all other Mizonos products. So they say it is questionable if he can make the blessing, or that after blessing he forgot do it before. If he forgot to make the blessing before starting of the meal, if he can do it during the meal. Okay, so let's see. What is the problem? We're going to discuss in section B. Okay. Number 3, forgot, realized after Bircas Hamozon. Okay. If he benched and only then realized that he had forgotten to make appropriate bracha achrana, he must make the bracha achrana at that point, after having benched. The Bircas Hamozon will not exempt the food eaten before the meal, since it is of no weight connected to the meal of which he benched. This rule does not apply to Mizonos product, nor to wine, nor to dates, okay, which were eaten before the meal. These foods are exempt b'diavad by Bircas Hamozon. Okay, so let's try to understand what it says here. So he ate these potato chips, right, and drank apple juice, right, and forgot to make a blessing after he ate that. So he ate them before the bread meal. So, and he already benched, he already said Bircas Hamozon. So now, even after the fact, this Bircas Hamozon never covered those. So he must go back and say this appropriate blessing Berachos after this. Right. So the only exception is if he ate Mizonos products and he forgot. Right. So with Mizonos, even it's not only bread family, right? It's even spaghetti or pasta, whatever he ate, pasta salad, right? So if he remembered to say before hamotzi, before washing for his hands, that's a proper way to do. If he forgot and remember only during the meal, so some poskim say, don't do it. It's too late, after the fact, no problem. And here it's he remembered not even during the meal, after the meal. So they say after the fact, right? Since there is such an opinion, a strong opinion, so they say after the fact, it's not proper. It's not. But after the fact, if he forgot to say the blessing on this Mizonos, or it was wine, or it was dates, as we said, those products that satiate. So they say after the fact, don't say Bircas Hamozon, don't say after blessing, and you can rely on Bircas Hamozon. Again, it's after the fact. And very important, we don't want to be on the after the fact Jews. That's the worst thing that can happen. Okay. So C. Eaten before the meal, yet covered by. Okay. So of course, as we said, there is exception. Bentching. Yet covered by bench. Sorry, it's like 2 lines down. Okay, no problem. So meaning what? A person ate something before the meal, and even like lachatchila, like in its proper way, it's for this food to be covered by Bircas Hamozon. There is no problem. So what is the exception? In the previous section, we learned that the food eaten before the meal, requires separate bracha achrana. However, if the food eaten before the meal is somehow connected to the meal, it is covered by Bircas Hamozon. So the best example is, of course, Kiddush wine. Right? But let's see what they say. The following 3 types of cases, the food eaten before meal is connected to the is considered to be connected to the meal. Okay. So first is Kiddush-Link. Okay. Since Kiddush must be made in conjunction with the meal, so one of the requirements of Kiddush to be valid, you must eat right away. So right away, it could be like delay a little, but in the same place and right away, that's what we must do in order to fulfill the mitzvah of Kiddush. So if person just here in the shul, Kiddush, for example, and then he came home and did not eat appropriately and appropriate products in the shul, so it's useless. So he did not or she did not fulfill any requirement. Right? Okay. If he made shortly, just one more time, sorry. Since Kiddush must be made in conjunction with the meal, if he made shortly before the meal, it is considered part of the meal, according to many Rishonim. Okay. This halacha applies to wine, grape, grape juice, or any other beverage used for a kiddush. Okay. We can refer to any type of connection of Kiddush-Link. So let's see that is commentary. Regarding wine, cake, and other foods eaten at the Kiddush, made before Shabbos meal, see D4. Okay. So that's a different scenario. So let's just understand. So if person drink wine, made blessing on the wine during his kiddush, right, and he should preferably keep in mind that this blessing on the wine should also cover all of the wine that he's going to or she's going to drink during the meal, right? Or this cake. We're going to discuss cake in the next section. That he made the blessing on a cake before the meal should cover all of the cakes that he's going to eat during the meal, because cakes most of the time they're not covered. Okay. Juice or any other beverage used for kiddush. Okay, continue. We will refer to this type of connection Kiddush-Link. So meaning Kiddush-Link something that's connected to the meal itself. Some Rishonim are of the opinion that Kiddush wine must not be linked to the meal and the subject of Bracha Achrona. The Poskim accept the former view. They advise, however, that at the end of the meal, when benching, one should have specific intent to cover Kiddush wine. Okay, so let's read the commentary and we're going to explain. According to all the views, if when he makes bracha on Kiddush wine, his intention to exempt the wine which he plans to drink at the meal, Brocha-Link, is covered by benching. Okay, so they actually learned it last week in our Tuesday Kids Shulchan Aruch class. This bracha benching. But before we go in so far, let's explain about the wine. So some poskim say that when person make a blessing on a kiddush on the wine during kiddush, right? So this is linked to our meal. Okay. Others say no. Other poskim say no. They say that you have to make a separate blessing. There is no connection. You have to make separate blessing on a wine, right? On the wine after the kiddush. Okay, right. So of course that's not what we do, as you know. So they say the solution to go by all of the opinion. Just what's according to all of the opinion. So when he makes a blessing, so when person makes a blessing on the wine, he intends or she intends that I'm going to drink wine during the meal, and in this case, this wine that is drunk during the meal is going to be covered by Bircas Hamozon, right? And it is a link to the wine that I drank before the meal. So this is bracha connection, right? So when person says Bircas Hamozon, he has in his mind that it should also, but my Bircas Hamozon should also include the wine that was drunk before the meal for kiddush. So that's going to be according to all of the opinions. Okay, second, check. Time is it? Okay, we have time. Let's continue. Brocha-Link. So one second, let me see how long is the chapter. Brocha-Link. There is one type of connection which, according to all views, link the before meal food to the meal. We will refer to this type of the connection Brocha-Link. This link operates as follows. Some foods which are eaten during the meal are not exempt by Hamotze. For example, if one wishes to eat apple during his meal, he must make Brachot. If he wants to eat fruit before the meal, he can exempt the apple he plans to eat at the meal from its bracha requirement. That is, he can have a specific intention, and the time he makes a bracha before the meal to exempt fruit, which will be subsequently eaten at the meal. Okay, so let's, before we went further, let's try to understand what it says. So before we said the first situation was Kiddush-Link, right? That's, I think, his invention, but doesn't matter. It's very descriptive, right? And second scenario is a Brocha-Link. Brocha-Link, what does it mean? So even if a person eats bread, right? So we said the fruits and some desserts not covered. So I would need to make separate blessing anyway, right? Doesn't matter. They give this example with apple. So let's go with this example. So I would need to make the blessing on the apple anyway, right? So they say, okay, so I'm going to eat, I make a blessing on the apple before the meal, right? And I have intention to also to eat apples during the meal. Okay, so in this case, apple before the meal connected to the apple during the meal, and it's covered by Bircas Hamozon. Okay, so it's like a back chain, right? So it goes from apple before the meal, connected to linked to the apple during the meal, and apple during the meal is covered by Bircas Hamozon, right? Anyway, so we say whatever we eat during the meal, we need a separate blessing. Do not need. They cover Bircas Hamozon, and after the fact, they go back to and cover even apple that he ate before the meal. So meal is like in between of the blessings, in between of the blessing on the apple. So it's like irrelevant in this case. It's like two parallel meals. One meals with apples. He ate one apple during the meal and before the meal, and one during the meal, and parallel meal with a bread. So okay. So we can see it like this. But at the end of the day, it's covered by Bircas Hamozon. If one makes a bracha on a food shortly before the meal and has intention to exempt a food which requires separate bracha, which he plans to eat during the meal, we consider the before meal food as a part of the meal. Making the bracha and eating the before meal food makes it permissible to eat subsequent food during the meal without new bracha. So very interesting. I mean, it's same end result, right? The same permission, but different explanation. So it's beautiful explanation. Let's try to understand. So let's take our apple again. So a person is going to eat this apple before the meal, right? And now he said the blessing on this apple. So this apple, this blessing on the apple makes the apple that is going to be eaten during the meal permissible, right? That's why it is connected. That's why, in some sense, it is part of the meal. Very interesting. Okay. Why? Because without this original blessing on the apple during the meal, before the meal, he would not be able to eat apple during the meal. That's the link. I mean, it's exactly the end result is the same, but different explanation, different approach. Continue. Since the before meal food halachically facilitates eating food during the meal, its too is connected to the meal, and therefore covered by benching. Okay. The before meal food does not require separate bracha achrona, and before meal food is connected to the meal by a Brocha-Link. Okay, so let's read the commentary. I mean, we already explained, but he's okay. But let's see. For example, if one makes a Berachot on an apple shortly before the meal, having intention to exempt the fruit he plans to eat during the meal, we consider apple during apple before the meal is a part of the meal, and it is covered by benching. the apple does not require separate bracha achrona. I mean, I'm not going to repeat because we already said that. So it's exactly, so we just confirmed that we understood everything correctly. So this apple before the meal gives us permission to eat apple during the meal, and that's the link between two apples, right? And this apple that is eaten before the meal is considered to be part of the meal. That's it. So anyway, he eats it if he wants to eat apple in the beginning of the meal or at the end of the meal, does not make any difference. So he would need to say separate blessing anyway. So since this is the case, so it can be connected to the apple that was eaten before the meal. Any questions on what we said? Okay, no problem. So let me continue. So in the third scenario, one second. There is continuation of the commentary. Okay, so let's see. Even if subsequently, during the course of the meal, he chooses not to eat fruit, nevertheless, the before meal apple is exempt by bracha achrona, from bracha achrona. Very interesting concept, very interesting. So very unusual, right? So person made this blessing on an apple before the meal, and he was planning to eat also apple during the meal, and he overate, right, and did not want to eat apple any longer. That's it. So even though he changed his mind, since the original plan was to eat apple during the meal, so this apple before the meal does not require separate bracha after blessing. That's it. So it would be covered by Bircas Hamozon. Of course, it's after the fact, but that's what it is. Note that bracha rishona made before the meal is not effective for food to be eaten in the meal. There is no one more time. Note that if bracha rishona may, or if, okay, I missed the word if bracha rishona made before the meal is not effective for the foods to be eaten in the meal, there is of course no Brocha-Link. Okay. In a above example, if he made bracha on an apple in one location, here we go, and planned to have meal in another location, but the bracha on the apple will not be effective for fruit he wishes to eat in the meal. Therefore, the apple is not linked to the meal and is not covered by Bentching. Regarding what causes bracha rishona to cease his effective, see chapter 9 and 10. I'm not going to repeat, but when person goes to a different location, it's just a summary. We spend I don't know how many weeks learning these two chapters. So it stops the bracha, and the person would need to make a separate blessing. Even if he took this same food, and went to a different room, so he would need to make a different blessing, separate blessing. Okay, so here we say if he ate this apple, he started eating in one room, and then he went and started Kiddush in a different room, right? And now he wants to eat apples during the meal. So these apples are not going to be covered. Or he was outside, I don't know, on the balcony somewhere. Then he came back, so it's not going to be covered. Okay, that's the case. Okay, so continue. So the third scenario, Appetizer-Link. Foods and beverages which are eaten before washing for the meal in order to stimulate the appetite, for example, herring, wine, whiskey, are considered to part of the meal according to some poskim, because their purpose is to help facilitate eating of the meal. We will refer to this type of connection as Appetizer-Link. Okay, so some poskim say it, so this herring, some spicy stuff, whiskey, wine, so okay. They start with the appetite, so that's why there is a connection to the meal. But I would say just go wash your hands and eat all herring you want, and that's it. Don't put yourself in this questionable situations. Okay, continue. According to this view, if, for example, one drinks some wine shortly before the meal, in order to stimulate the appetite, he should not make bracha achrona, as the wine will be covered by Bircas Hamozon. Okay, so let's read the commentary and explain. The Appetizer-Link works only in cases where before the meal, food actually function as an appetizer. If the food was eaten much before the meal, to the extent that it does not function as an appetizer, it is obvious and not linked to the meal. So, what is the time span? It's hard to say. Maybe if it's 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes before the meal, I would say there's no problem. But more than that, it's already a problem that there's no link between these appetizers and the meal itself. Okay, but if, let's say, he start after drinking this wine, he start his meal in the next 10 minutes, 5 minutes, so there is no problem. He does not need to make bracha achrona, so because there's all of the foods to start to stimulate the appetite. Okay, continue. Other poskim rule that appetizers are not linked to the meal and are not covered by Bircas Hamozon. According to this view, if one eats the appetizers before the meal, he must make the appropriate bracha achrona before starting his meal. Okay. So some say there is a link, some say it's not good link. So I just say blessing after that, and that's it. The other poskim advise that initially one should not use this Appetizer-Link to exempt appetizers eaten before the meal, right? Rather, one who wishes to eat appetizer directly before the meal should eat less than a Shiur. Okay, he's an exception. So other poskim advice, right, not to use this Appetizer-Link one more time, to examine the appetizer eaten before the meal. Commentary, and we're going to explain. Appetizers eaten after the making hamotzi are immediately covered by Bircas Hamozon. So all these foods are covered. Regarding the Brocha-Link for appetizers eaten during the course of the meal, see chapter 5. So most of them are covered. Okay, so just one second. So what other poskim are saying, the advisors, are not to rely this Appetizer-Link, right? And if person wants so much, so eat or drink less than the Shiur. And what is the Shiur? Commentary. Alternatively, no, it does not say. So Shiur is a minimum requirement amount that for which you need to say after blessing. So as we said, for food, it kizais 1 ounce. Okay. So if person ate 1 ounce in a time span of preferably 3 minutes, but up to 9 minutes, so he would need to say the after blessing. If longer than that, he does not need to say the after blessing. And same with the liquids, but with the liquids, as we learned, it's a little more stricter. So according to some opinions, it's revis. Revis, we said, is from 3.1 to 5.2 ounces, right? Or the other opinion said no, the revis is a kizayas. Kizayas, as we said, 1 ounce. So the our poskim says like don't put yourself in a questionable situation. So if you want to eat this herring, wherever you cannot hold yourself, so eat less than the kizayas, even 0.6 of the kizayas. So according to some opinions, it's 0.6 of ounce is actually kizayas. So don't put yourself. So eat less than that, or drink less than this, and that's it. Commentary. Alternatively, one may use the Brocha-Link, where applicable, described in paragraph 2, or eat appetizer after washing and making hamot. I say don't go crazy. Start meal on time. So don't wait for this important guest to show up. Okay, so just start the meal. We have this. We wait maximum 5 minutes. Sometimes, most of the time, 11:30 we start, or 12:30 we start. We start exactly at 12:30. Okay, whoever is late, he can do his own Kiddush, or I can do Kiddush for them. And that's it. So next time after the person put on a spot, so he's going to come on time. Okay, he's not a king to hold everybody back and put everybody in this questionable situation. However, b'diavad, so after the fact, if one ate more than a minimum shiur or appetizers shortly before starting the meal, he should not make a bracha achrona, as Bircas Hamozon will cover it. So after the fact, so he ate more than shiur, more than this 1 ounce, or drank, let's say, release this 3.2 ounces of liquid. So after the fact, we say, okay, don't make any after blessing. Why? Because there is some scheme, as we said before, that say this Appetizer-Link actually work. So not to make any extra blessings. Okay, so we can stop here. Of course, we did not finish. It's a long discussion, but any questions on any topic? Go ahead. Okay, no problem. If not, so we stop here. So until next week, Beezrat Hashem. Thank you very much. Shabbos. Bye.